For almost our entire existence on this planet, we were nomads. And then, in the grand scheme of things, almost overnight, about 10,000 years ago, we just stopped. We settled down and we started farming. This was, without a doubt, one of the biggest turning points for our species. And in this explainer, we're going to try and solve the mystery of why it happened.
And this really is the central question, isn't it? When we look at modern foraging communities, studies show they often work way fewer hours and have a lot more leisure time than early farmers ever did. So why would anyone make that switch? Why trade a life of freedom and variety for the backbreaking, repetitive labor of agriculture? It honestly sounds like a pretty bad deal.
And this contrast just perfectly illustrates the sheer scale of that trade-off. On the left, you've got a small band of Juhansi foragers moving through a really diverse landscape, using over 100 different plants for food. And on the right, a modern farm, one single crop, stretching out as far as the eye can see. This wasn't just a change in our diet, it was a complete reinvention of our relationship with the entire planet.
What makes this whole thing so fascinating is that this shift happened independently in at least 7 different places around the globe, all around the same time. And this was after millions of years of our species living as hunter-gatherers. So this wasn't just one person's brilliant idea that spread like wildfire, it was a global pattern. And a pattern that big demands an explanation.
So, to solve this mystery, let's start by looking at the usual suspects. You know, the explanations that seem obvious on the surface, but as we're about to see, they don't really tell the whole story.
The first, and maybe the most popular theory, is climate change, right? The last ice age ended about 10,000 years ago. The world got warmer, it got wetter. So the thinking goes that these new, stable climates made it possible for humans to start growing plants.
But here's the problem. When archaeologists looked closer, the timelines just didn't match up. In eastern North America, for instance, the climate stabilized a full 5,000 years before people started domesticating plants. So sure, climate change was a precondition, but it wasn't the trigger. The motive just doesn't fit the crime.
Okay, so let's move on to our next suspect, population pressure. The idea here is really just simple supply and demand. Did human populations get so big that hunting and gathering alone couldn't support them anymore, forcing them to invent farming just to feed more mouths?
Well, once again, the evidence doesn't quite line up. In key areas like Southwest Asia, we actually see people start domesticating plants before any major population boom. The population explosion came after farming, not before it. So if it wasn't the climate, and it wasn't population pressure, what was it?
This is where the story gets really interesting.
To find the real answer, we have to stop thinking about humans as just passively adapting to our environment, and start thinking about how we actively change it. This brings us to the breakthrough concept that really solves this whole puzzle. It's called niche construction. See, unlike most animals, which have to adapt to their environment, humans actively reshape our environments to suit our needs. We don't just find a niche in the world, we build one. And that very act of building creates a whole new set of rules for our own evolution. Think of it this way. When our ancestors moved into freezing cold climates, they didn't just sit around waiting for evolution to give them thick fur coats. No way. They constructed a new niche. They built shelters. They made clothing. And they harnessed the power of fire. They altered their environment, and in doing so, altered their own evolutionary path. And it turns out, it's this exact process that led to farming.
This slide shows niche construction in action. Wild wheat has this brittle stem, a rachis, that shatters really easily so it can spread its seeds. But early humans would have naturally gathered the rare plants whose stems didn't shatter so easily. By replanting those specific seeds, whether they knew it or not, they were selecting for a tougher stem. Over generations, we basically engineered a new kind of wheat that couldn't survive without us, and pretty soon, we couldn't survive without it.
The same gradual process happened with animals. It wasn't a sudden event. It was this long, slow dance of increasing intervention. Moving from just random hunting to selectively managing herds, and then eventually controlling their movement and breeding entirely. Each and every step was another act of niche construction, pulling us deeper into this new way of life. So, with this theory of niche construction in our back pocket, let's go back to our 10,000-year-old mystery and examine a specific crime scene for clues. We're heading to Southwest Asia.
Meet the Natufians. Around 12,500 years ago, they lived in a land of plenty, just filled with abundant wild grains and game. And they got so successful at foraging that they did something truly radical. They stayed put. They built permanent houses and created these heavy stone tools that you just couldn't carry around. And this is the crucial point, the absolute key. Settlement came before farming.
And with settlement came all these new social dynamics. You see these elaborate grave goods, like this beautiful collar found in a burial, which suggests that for the very first time, concepts of inherited status and inequality were starting to emerge. Living in large, permanent groups was changing human society itself, long before the first seed was ever deliberately planted.
So this timeline really puts all the pieces together. First, the Natufians constructed a new niche for themselves, a settled life, based on these rich wild resources. But then, a few thousand years later, the climate changed, and it threatened their food supply. They faced a choice: go back to being nomads, or find a way to protect this sedentary life they had already built. They chose to protect it. They began deliberately cultivating cereals, not as some brilliant invention, but as an act of desperation to save their society.
So, we've solved the mystery of why we settled down, but the verdict on whether it was a good decision, well, that is far more complicated. This choice came with a series of massive, world-altering trade-offs.
On one hand, agriculture gave us the ability to support huge populations and create food surpluses, which became the foundation for cities and states. But on the other hand, we lost a diverse diet, we lost a lot of our leisure time, we lost a more egalitarian social structure, and in many ways, we lost our health.
And that cost was real. 6 inches. In some parts of the Mediterranean, that's the average drop in male height after the adoption of agriculture. A less varied, grain-heavy diet meant poorer nutrition, and our skeletons are the evidence.
The downsides didn't stop there either. Farming meant harder physical labor. It meant vulnerability. If your one staple crop failed, you could face starvation. Crowded settlements became breeding grounds for new diseases. And the existence of surplus and property, well, that laid the groundwork for the social inequality we're still grappling with today.
So in the end, the shift to agriculture wasn't some simple story of progress. You could almost see it as a kind of trap, a choice made to protect a settled way of life that led to a cascade of consequences, creating the complex, crowded, and often unequal world we now inhabit. This 10,000-year-old decision is the foundation of our civilization, and the question it leaves us with is a big one. Looking at everything we gained and everything we lost, was it worth it?